The request finally reaches the data center housing the server where the website lives. The server sends the requested information back across the network, broken down into chunks of data called packets, which your device puts back together like a jigsaw to form the web page you see on your screen. And all this happens in the blink of an eye, all over the world, millions of times per second.
Thank you. Thank you. So since, we are one of the enablers for this economy, which is going to be driven by ICT world, we had done a survey across the globe, and they were in major cities of the world. And there were some findings which came out. I think I'll just share with you just to set the context. How important is the internet? On the left side of the screen, you can see there are 92% people who spend an hour, 71% people spend more than 6 hours, and 29% at least 6 hours. You can imagine. And 1 out of 3 people cannot survive without internet at all, if you see it this way. Here. Okay. And 64% people have a fear of missing out, the so-called FOMO, as they call it nowadays. And on the right side, the degree of importance, 28% people will give alcohol for internet. 26% will give television, 22% chocolate, 19% sport. There was another point which we have not mentioned. Yeah. There were 20% people who will give their girlfriend also for internet nowadays. So you can imagine the power of internet. More women are willing to give alcohol and sports for internet, and more men are willing to give the television and chocolate for internet. So you can imagine it's a necessity, an addiction in life nowadays. So much is happening nowadays. Okay, and so that's the importance of internet in our life nowadays. And if you look at the history of mankind for last almost, I think, 500 years, roughly, you would say this is the third revolution of digital age. The first was the Industrial Revolution, where the growth rate was only about 1% in the economy. Then the second was about Second Industrial Revolution, which is in 1870 to 1914, just before the World War I. And that time it was about 2% growth of economy, the CAGR level in that period. But today, it will be about 150 trillion of economy, which is going to be driven by this internet from period 2010 and above. So that's the impact of the internet on our world economy. Staggering impact, right? And this, we are blessed that we are going to witness this massive change in our lives, in our societies, in our economies around the globe. And this is just an impact. We have seen that on the ASEAN GDP, 4 to 12% of their GDP will be impacted from the internet practically. Today, if I see some of the trends, I have in my word, I just didn't want to bore too much, but let's just hear some interesting information. Between 2013 to 18, the ICT economy will go up from 2.8 trillion to almost 3.1 trillion. It's a CAGR of 3%. So it's a grown economy, and it's growing at that rate. The enterprise market and the carrier market of telecom companies is going to go up from almost 800 billion to almost about 875 billion. That's the trend going to be in the next 5 years itself. And we are talking about much longer period on this slide on the right side. The mobile data traffic is going up with 63% CAGR. I'm sure you would have heard some of these statistics yesterday, but if there are percentage point here and there could be rounding off in the perspective and what gets included, what gets excluded. So pardon me for some difference which you are seeing from the figures of yesterday. Okay, there is an increase in 7 times in the mobile data, which is happening nowadays. So that is all being driven by this economy. Okay. Now I have captured 12 global disruptive technologies, which are again going to be driving the economy between now and 2025, so just 10 years period. And these trends are internet, cloud, Internet of Things, automation of knowledge work, robotics, 3D printing, energy storage, advanced and oil gas, energy, genomics, and some of my fellow speakers will give you lots of examples like I'm going to give. It'll be interesting how life and the world will change. And we have grouped these trends in 4 major buckets: IT and how we use it. And you can imagine the economic potential on the low side and the high side. If you see the graph, the extent. And we have seen with the Moore's law, what's happening is towards the high side, not on the low side. So you can imagine that's the impact on economies. And I'm not trying to undermine the classical brick and mortar economy, because that will also be transformed using the IoT part of it. So if you see the energy coming of age, the building blocks of society going forward, the illness, disease, etc., will change dramatically as we move forward. Okay. Just another data I will just like to give you, in the manufacturing sector, the M2M, mobile to mobile, device to device communication, has gone up by almost about 204% when we have just touched the surface. Okay. Another very interesting example, after the wearable devices came in for your measuring the body rhythm and body cycle, the participation in the wellness programs went up by 86%. We all say that we are lazy, we just need some motivation. Now this simple device is changing the world. And I was in the Mobile World Congress Barcelona. Some of you, if you have seen the CNBC show and NDTV gadget show, you would have seen some of the reports from the Mobile World Barcelona. And there was a major focus on devices and wearables. And practically, Sony had launched fashion accessories for the wearables and for your covers. You can have it matching depending on the mood, style of the day. So that's the impact of these devices which is coming on life. Now, in mobile internet, let's say if we talk about in India itself, remote healthcare, mobile wellness, you're talking about JAM nowadays, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, and mobile application, the mygovernment.in, all these applications are coming in. But they will not just succeed without a complete ecosystem. So what will happen is that there will be an ecosystem or platform developed by the Internet of Things. And that platform will have users, will have service providers. The more users will demand more suppliers and applications, and more applications will attract more users, and that's how it will grow. That's the success of many of the business models we are seeing nowadays. For example, Apple is another example. Apple, we see it as a form of device, but actually it is a platform which connects users with application service providers. And that is what will happen with the mobile internet when you talk about digital India. Once the enabling platform is provided, there will be more users hooking in. Today, I have not gone to my bank for last 17 years, from 1998 onwards. My branch, which is there in Delhi, Kasturba Gandhi Marg, I have not been there, but we are there. So once this starts happening, there will be more and more, and the potential, the impact on the governance, utilities will be immense. We have a massive deficit of service delivery from the government side, from the service provider side. And they're all hungry for more and more applications. You have seen the cases. You launch an application and the first time it crashes because there is a hunger, there's an unsatiated desire to use the services, right? Okay. Just give an example. In Singapore, the usage of RFID devices has gone up by 300% on the port, and the traffic of the port handling capacity has also gone up. They are using RFID over there. You take about on the bottom right side, autonomous and near autonomous vehicles. Google Car has so far been tested for 460,000 kilometers in the last 3 years, and there has been only one accident caused by human angle. Okay. Rio Tinto in Australia is using almost about 200 semi-automated vehicle for the mines, and some of the mines are almost half a mile deep under the mean sea level. So that's the impact of technology which is coming in over here. You have had almost about 500,000 pages being analyzed in 30 minutes by on the bottom left side, what you see, automation of knowledge work. So the technology is impacting our life. It's making things easier. While we are worried at one end that there will be people who know technology and people who do not know technology. But I am very sure as we progress, we will also get everybody on board. It'll be made simpler, it'll be made easier to adopt. And the IoT is nothing but making that journey simple. It's practically we are having devices, which are aware what's happening in their own area. They are autonomous, that they are connected, they are communicating with somebody else, and they can be actioned. So the IoT world, Internet of Things, will practically have billions of devices which will be aware, autonomous, and actionable, and they will need less of understanding and intelligence as we anticipate today. So I'm sure the people who are older and who are having a fear of these technologies will not be that much bothered about that. Going further, just to see the impact of technology, this is a photograph. It's available on the internet, picked up by a photographer from Washington Post. In 2005, in St. Peter's Square, when the announcement of Pope Benedict's election happened, when the chimney came out, and this is the way things were. But 8 years later, what happened? The similar announcement happened earlier. Life changed. Yesterday night, I was watching Mr. Kejriwal was, I think, spending his last day in the naturopathy center, and he was singing a song. I don't know if some of you saw it or not. Now, people were not enjoying the song. The people who were fellow participants were taking pictures. So it's a change in habits which we are seeing completely, and that reflects everywhere. That's the impact of technology. You can imagine how many people are having tablets and smartphones covering the same place. It has changed in 8 years' time. Now, we recently had a meeting with the Google in our corporate office in Tata Group. Some interesting data I thought I'll just share with you. So 6 billion users are being added every month for the internet. There are 110 million unique users. Some people have multiple connections through mobile, second mobile, tablet, or at home, or family connections. And this number of internet users is going to go up from 300 million to 500 million in another 3 years' time. There are 2.5 billion applications being downloaded in India itself, though 60% of them are deleted within a month. And 65% of internet access is now happening from mobile devices. Just to give an impact, in Africa, I'm sure my fellow speakers will certainly agree that mobile money is more prominent than the banking system. The reason being the safety, security, and cost of transfer of money. Today, almost about 12 to 14% economy, or other GDP, is being transacted through mobile commerce in Africa. It's not in India. India is lower. 1 in 3 person watching TV in India is also buying on YouTube. Can anybody tell me which is the YouTube capital of the world?
India.
No, the answer is not India. The answer is Saudi Arabia. They don't have TV. And I'll answer another question. Can somebody tell me which is the Twitter capital of the world?
Sorry?
Twitter capital of the world? It's not India again. Let me just make it simple. It's Indonesia. It's not US, it's not Germany, it's not US, UK, it's not Switzerland, it's not China, it's Indonesia. So, and this is a similar geography as India. So, and if you come back on the lower part of the slide, you will see that most rapid growth of internet is coming from the outside the top 10 towns. And that is what we are seeing in the ordering of Flipkarts and Snapdeals and OLX, etc. also, that the desire, lack of malls or lack of good showrooms perhaps is bringing them closer to their city brethren and sisters in terms of their choice, in terms of in the fashion trends. It's all happening. Mobile searches are also increasing. On the right side, what you see is very interesting. I do not know how much you can see, but let me just try and point out some things over here. If you see this graph, this is the impact of internet economy on GDP. And Hemant, you were just talking about the figures. It is controlling almost 3.4%. And in the first slide, I had said the impact on ASEAN will be 4 to 12% within next 30 to 40 years on the GDP, right? So, and if you look at the aspiring countries, which is including, let's say, Argentina, Hungary, Malaysia, Mexico, Morocco, etc., the impact is right now 2%. India is below them at about 1.6%. But the potential in 2015 and in an accelerated trajectory could be as high as 3.3 to 2.8%. And on the rightmost side over here, these graphs, you say, if we stretch the scenarios, the economy size is also being indicated from the contribution of internet. So digital in a way is going to be very, very pervasive, and I'm sure it'll bring us closer to the developed world. It'll help us achieve objectives of social inclusion and benefiting the last mile, the last strata of the society. And that's the intention. It's going to be a one big leveler. It'll disrupt the so-called social classes and socio-economic classifications, hopefully for the betterment of a society. Last few slides. And this slide talks about that if we see that impact, where will it come from actually? This impact of 3.3% or 3.4 or 3x or 5x, it's going to happen. And you see the contribution of government is the second bar from the bottom, here. It's just about 20%, if you see. And it's going to come from connectivity, devices, online content, e-commerce, services, etc., financial services. So